is Michelle Millen. I work for Michigan Rehab Services, which is an agency that helps people with disabilities find work. I have 3 children. Gabe is 14 and Noah is 11, almost 12, and Josiah is 10. And Scott and I met at Calvin College when we were freshmen.
I work as a creative consultant, graphic designer, marketing communications guy. I have my own agency, Two Fish Company. I work actually just down the street. I want to explain this in a way that doesn't sound like I'm a big dope or a jerk, but people say, you're so saintly for hanging out with your kids or adopting or doing these things.
Oh yeah, doing middle school youth.
Right, doing middle school youth group or working with young kids and whatnot. This is what we know how to do. Everybody has gifts in their lives. It happened that we got put together and we have the same love for people with disabilities and kids. Shelley and I have talked about adopting, or even, I guess, how many years ago, like when we were first married, foster parenting?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Scott, when probably 3 or 4 months into our marriage, was driving home from work and called me on the big old cell phone yet and said, hey, I just heard an ad for Bethany on the radio and they need foster parents. I think we should do it. And at that point,
we didn't have kids.
We didn't have kids. We were living in a little 2-bedroom apartment, and I said, I just don't think this is God's timing for us. But let's tuck it in the back of our heads.
So then we had Gabe, then we had Noah, Joe. The whole time that we had kids, I think that we always wanted to have room for more. The boys have grown up in, I think, this kind of environment where everybody is important. Every child matters, every adult matters. When we finally started talking about adopting, even as a notion, just as a notion, I think they were pretty on board. She is, however, a girl with Down syndrome in China. The fact that she's alive today, that's miraculous.
The folks in China said, oh, we're not even going to put these kids with Down syndrome on the list because who's going to adopt them? No one's going to adopt them. And this profile comes through and the agency names the child, just an American name so that you can have a hook, you know. And the name comes through Faith is her name. God is affirming our steps forward, that, yep, you stepped out in faith, continue in faith, even if this isn't the girl. But I opened her profile, read her profile, and I knew right away, and then I thought, what if Scott doesn't know right away? And I sat on the front porch and I just cried and I prayed and I said, you know, prepare my heart, God, for whatever Scott decides. And prepare Scott's heart for opening this profile, that we could be open to whatever God wanted us to do. But my biggest prayer that we would be like-minded.
And we had some friends who, I think rightfully so, had challenged us because we've been talking about it openly for a while with folks. And they said, you know, what's holding you back? And I said, well, the obvious stuff.
Money!
Money. And the challenge was, if this is truly a calling, right, if you feel driven to do this thing, then money will be there. We have resisted and held out, or at least I have. Shelley's faith is so much bigger and deeper than mine. And I've held out of practicality. We've always just made it, right? We live our lives on manna. There's just enough. If we have just enough and we feel called to add on, reason and faith dictates that there's going to be just enough. And if you live in a world of faith like we do, that kind of challenge, I think, gets right to the core of who you are. Do you truly believe? When Jesus was asked to sum up the law, what were the things that he said? Love one another. And love your neighbor as yourself.
Scott and I feel like this is maybe an area where we are gifted, and this is what God calls us to do with that gift. Our thing is kids, well then it makes sense that we would do this with kids. This is how we can love our neighbors as ourselves.
We're adopting, right? It's as simple as that.